And then there were four. Hello, everybody. Welcome to SportsZone. I am Ben Florence, supposedly the host of this program.
Perhaps.
We got Dylan Choate with us, as always. We got, what's your name again?
Didn't he just
Jose.
walk in?
My name is Jose.
All right, we got Jaron Berman with us. We'll see how well this goes. Gentlemen, the NCAA tournament, even though it's March 31st, March is technically over, but March Madness still goes on.
Madness never dies.
The Final Four is this Saturday night in Indianapolis. You got on one side, you got Kentucky still undefeated. They're going to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Go Badgers. The other side of the bracket, you got Duke, the other one seed, or the final one seed. And then you got the surprising Michigan State Spartans, 7th seed in the Final Four. Jaron, first we'll start out with that Duke-Michigan State matchup. Matchup of two great coaches. One team widely expected to get there in Duke, and yet a big surprise in the Spartans. What have the Spartans been able to do to get thus far? And can they get to the championship game?
I mean, I'm a firm believer in coaching. I think if you have a great coach, it can make up for maybe a slight decrease in talent compared to the opposing team. Tom Izzo, of course, Hall of Fame coach, is an excellent coach overall, has their team flying high. They did excellent in the the Big Ten tournament, narrowly lost to the number one seed Wisconsin. And I mean, if you had any other coach, if you had a mediocre coach, that it would be a bad loss. But for a team that's coached by Tom Izzo, it was a very narrow loss, very close. Showed that Michigan State could do some significant damage, and they have. They've rolled through the tournament. They've done incredibly well, and I think this is a matchup I actually do favor for Michigan State because I always go with the hot hand in terms of a tournament like this. You always go with the hot hand, and Duke struggled in the ACC tournaments. Michigan State, narrowly lost to Wisconsin, number one seed. And they've just been performing admirably. So if I'm going to go with a hot hand here, I'm going to go with Michigan State.
Well, I mean, you talk about Duke in the ACC tournament. You forget to mention that Duke in the NCAA tournament. It's been looking pretty good.
Been doing good.
Even with, some guys performing at Julia Okafor's had a couple off games, or at least one. Justice Winslow's been great. But, Dylan, a lot of people are comparing this Michigan State team to the UConn team of a year ago, another 7 seed who won the tournament last year by taking over Kentucky. We'll get to them momentarily. But can this Michigan State team, Duke's got a ton of talent, and they arguably are the better overall team, even though Michigan State's a pretty good team, as proven by the fact that they're in Indianapolis for the Final Four. Can Sparty pull the upset?
No, I think they definitely have the chance to pull the upset here. Like you said, Duke, I do believe is the more talented team. And even Coach Izzo has came out and said this, that his team, he knows they're not the best defensive team. He knows they're not the most talented. They struggle with free throws, and that's definitely been noted in this tournament, and we knew that going into it. But the fact that he can coach them in the perfect situations and get them ready, and like Jaron just said, they're rolling right now. They're rolling this momentum after beating the number 3 seed Oklahoma, beating the number 4 seed Louisville. They're just going to keep rolling. I think this is where it ends for them, though. I really do. I think the talent of Duke, Coach K is a phenomenal coach. Over the years, he has seemed to have Coach Izzo's number just in their matchups they play. I think this is kind of where that magic ends for Michigan State. This is where the Duke's talent is going to catch up to them. Obviously, I could be wrong. If Okafor struggles like he didn't have the best game last game against Gonzaga. He started getting frustrated early. They were missing a lot of shots, and that's something Michigan State can capitalize on. But I think Duke, the talent and the experience of Coach K, is going to overpower this matchup right here.
Michigan State getting to the Final Four by winning in the regional final over Louisville in overtime, which was a great game on Sunday. Duke also won on Sunday. Compared to the other games, a little more breathing room for them over the Bulldogs of Gonzaga. All right, other side of the bracket. All eyes, obviously, are on Kentucky. After all, they're undefeated. Dylan, how much pressure is on this Kentucky team right now? They're going to take on a very good Wisconsin team. They got big guys. Kaminsky, Sam Decker's been playing out of his mind. How much pressure is Kentucky going to be under, and will it be too much for them?
I think they're under a lot of pressure right now, but I think a lot of that comes from that last game they just played against Notre Dame. Notre Dame really pushed them up until those last final minutes when Kentucky finally got a little bit more breathing room and even barely won. If that 3 had gone in or gotten anywhere close, that would have been a completely different game we're talking about right now. But after seeing that game, I think it really brings it home for the Kentucky team and Coach Calipari to be like, hey guys, they can compete with us. Our past few games, they blew people out of the water. But like you said, Wisconsin has the athleticism. They have the height. Kaminsky, one of the front runners for the Wooden Award this year. Sam Decker's nailing threes, driving to the basket, everything like this. I think this is one of the best matchups, and Wisconsin probably has one of the best matchups to face Kentucky in their athleticism. I have Wisconsin moving on to the finals.
Really?
I do.
Boom.
I picked this early on when I did out my bracket. It's hard, but Kaminsky's height, Decker's athleticism, I think they can match up, and it's going to be a close game, and I think Wisconsin's going to edge it out a little bit.
All right, quickly, Jaron, do you agree, or you got Kentucky moving on?
I got Kentucky moving on. I think that matchup versus Notre Dame was going to be the toughest challenge they'll face. It was a very hot Notre Dame team, fueled by their wins in the ACC tournament, plus the loss of the coach, Mike Reed's mother. So they had a lot on their side, but Kentucky pulled out at the very end. I think that's the biggest test, and I can't see them losing after that.
All right, gentlemen, Jaron first. National champion is?
Kentucky.
Wisconsin.
All right, on Wisconsin, but I have Kentucky moving on. We got more SportsZone coming up right after this. You are watching SportsZone. Keep it locked.
Welcome back. This is SportsZone. As you know, when you see me as the host of the segment, that means it's one thing and one thing only, getting to third base. I'm joined by Dan and Aviva to my left right here. Season is starting up this weekend, guys, 5th and 6th of April. That is when it's starting. So it is that time of year. We got to make our predictions, see what's going to happen. Unlike some other newspapers and everything like that, we're not making World Series predictions yet. We're not going that far, but we are going to pick the top teams in each league as well as the sleepers in each league, starting with the NL. Dan, who's your NL division winner of the NL?
I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon and go with the widely accepted favorite in the NL, and it's our lovely hometown Washington Nationals. I think not a whole lot done in the offseason, but the big move was Scherzer. That's a big step up for their pitching rotation. I mean, their batting lineup does not have a weakness, I don't think, if you look all the way through top to bottom. They got a stacked lineup, a stacked rotation. You know, if the bullpen can keep it together, I think they are the favorites.
Yeah. Aviva, do you agree?
I agree with Dan, actually, that I think the Nats are going to win. They got Scherzer, as Dan said, and their pitching definitely got better, and their lineup is still as good as last season. So I think they're going to win it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to agree with that one. We'll see if injuries to both Rendon and Span will hurt them in the beginning of the year, but Nationals #1 for me as well. Let's go sleepers in the NL. Dan, who's your sleeper team?
Sleeper team. I'm staying in the same division, but I'm going to do a disservice to my hometown. I'm going with the Miami Marlins as my sleeper team. And for this reason, I think they made some interesting moves. Mike Morse coming in to play first base there, locking up that outfield. And I think if those pieces come together for them, they also brought in Matt Latos to be their third starter. Yeah. I think they made some nice moves. And I think if those pieces come together and they play the way they could, that's a wild card team, and that team could potentially be dangerous down the stretch.
No, definitely. And Aviva, your sleeper for the NL?
I'm going to the West. I'm going to go with the Padres. They got a really good outfield. They got a few people for the outfield, and hopefully their pitching and their lineup is good, but you never know. Maybe they'll be good.
Interesting pick with the Padres there. I'm going to side with Dan on this. Marlins, the move they made, they're definitely usually an under-the-radar team, small market team, but Giancarlo Stanton, Latos, hooking up a bunch of those guys, great year. We'll see where they finish in the strong NL East this year. Now we're going to move over to the AL side, and we'll start with Aviva for this one. Aviva, who do you see as your AL winner?
That's a tough one. I think I'm going to go with Cleveland. I think they're going to do really good. They did pretty well last season, so maybe. But it's a tough one. I don't know.
Yeah. Dan?
My AL winner this year, I've got the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I think Detroit slips from where they were. They've been really the class of the AL, I think. But Cabrera and Martinez getting up there in age, the injuries, especially the lower body, starting to add up. So I'm going with the Angels. I think Mike Trout is going to lead them to the #1 AL team. So yeah.
Yeah, no. For my AL team, I'm staying in my hometown. From first to worst to first, we're going with the Boston Red Sox in this one. Bringing in Hanley Ramirez, Pablo Sandoval, Porcello, Masterson, Wade Miley, all these pitchers, bringing in all these great players. I see them, especially in the weaker AL East this year compared to some past years. I see the Red Sox as being the #1 team from the AL. Sleeper teams now. Aviva, who's your sleeper team for the AL?
I'm going to the AL East with Toronto. I think they brought in a few people, and as Dylan said before, AL East is not that good. Probably not going to be that good this season, so you never know. Toronto might have a push.
Yeah. And Dan?
I'm going to take her #1 team in the AL. I'm going to take the Cleveland Indians as my sleeper team.
Sleeper, really?
Yeah, well, they were third in that division last year. I mean, they had a better year than they had in years past,
true.
but not exactly jumping off the page. But you got a Cy Young winner now in Corey Kluber. Michael Brantley was an MVP candidate over there last year. I think Cleveland impresses people this year, and that's my sleeper team for the AL.
Interesting. I'm going to go West Coast for this one. I'm going to say the Oakland Athletics. I don't know, Dan was kind of confused with this one. They made it to the playoffs the past couple of years. The reason why they're my sleeper is they're in a tough division with both the Angels and the Mariners, who are some people's picks to make it to the World Series. So Oakland Athletics, players that they lost, trading Donaldson, doing all their trades, bringing people like Billy Butler. I see them as the sleeper pick this year because not many people are expecting them to compete with that division. But that is all the time we have. Those are our predictions. We will see later in the season whether those turn out, and maybe in the future we'll be doing some World Series predictions. But that is it for Getting to Third Base. Stay tuned for some more SportsZone.
And we welcome you back to another exciting edition of Throwing It Up, our weekly NBA segment. Jaron Berman is back for the first time since the Berlin Wall fell. Matt Goldan's with us as well, legend. We're going to talk a little association, and as you would expect. We're going to start off with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Dealt with injuries all season long, but now Kevin Durant is officially out for the season. And Jaron, Zach Lowe wrote a great piece about that. Now this could potentially hurt them down the line on Grantland because winning a championship this year could be one of the last tools they have for next year when he's a free agent.
Right.
But in the meantime, Thunder without him, will they still make the playoffs?
It all depends on one person only. Anthony Davis.
Big man.
Pelicans are right behind there. If Anthony Davis can put up some stellar numbers, finish the year strong, Pelicans can just sneak in there. And I agree with that comment. I mean, I previously thought this was going to be the biggest offseason for Oklahoma City through the franchise's tenure. And, I mean, it still is. I mean, they could, if they do fall out of the playoffs, they could get a nice pick, maybe trade it for a decent player, utilize it, get someone. It is a relatively deep draft this year. So it's very important because if they don't make the playoffs this year, they get the pick. If they make the playoffs and they go incredibly deep, let's say they go conference championship or something, or maybe if like Westbrook just goes off, they have, Durant may look at the team and go, hey, if we just stay healthy, here we go. But, it all depends on what happens. It's going to be very important.
Especially with Russell Westbrook being a free
Off
agent
the charts
as well. But, Matt, and he mentioned it, Russell Westbrook this year, especially of late, has been playing completely out of his mind. Considering that, is he good enough to carry this Thunder team back to the playoffs, solidify that 8th spot?
I say yes. Westbrook would be my pick for the MVP just because he's doing things that no one else has done in recent memory. With all the triple-doubles, he's just been doing it all for that team. And I really like the pairing of him and Enes Kanter. A great pickup at the trade deadline, and they are so great off the pick and roll. People didn't know what Kanter was capable of on offense. They didn't utilize him, I think, to his best ability in Utah. So I think that pairing. I love Steven Adams on defense. So him and Kanter will anchor the big men for Oklahoma City, and I think that combination, along with Westbrook having the season of his career, will be enough to overcome the Suns and the Pelicans.
Good stuff. And Kanter, really been for the Thunder that kind of back-to-the-basket post score that they've really lacked for a while now. But moving up the charts a little bit in the Western Conference is the San Antonio Spurs, the defending champs. the two-time defending conference champion San Antonio Spurs. They kind of started off slowly, and they were a little back of the pack of a really top Western Conference. But Matt, the Spurs, they're playing very well of late. Could this be a team potentially poised to make another deep run come springtime?
I say absolutely. I mean, I kind of saw this coming because I feel that every time we want to count out the Spurs, we want to say they're too old, we want to say they're finished. They come for one of these second half stretches, and it extends to the playoffs, and they have this deep playoff run. Kawhi Leonard is back. He's playing the same form he did when he won Finals MVP.
Right.
And I think that I could definitely see them making it back to the finals this year.
And Jaron, quickly, as a proud Canadian, do you agree with that?
Oh, Canada's just the best, isn't it? With the Montreal Expos and all that.
Okay.
But I mean, I have to agree with that. Every good coach knows that the first half is meaningless in comparison to the second half. And by just going on a hot streak at the end of the season, you go right through the playoffs with it. Popovich has utilized it the past several seasons. Look where it's gotten them. So I think another deep run is in their future.
All right, guys, we've been throwing it up. I hope you caught it, or maybe not, depending on what these guys have eaten. But yeah, we got more Sports Zone coming up, so keep it locked.
Welcome back to SportsZone. This is going to be the second edition of our new segment. We're going for two. I'm Dan, fresh new haircut. Still Dan, though. I got Vince. I got Matt. So last week we touched on the NFC action in free agency, primarily the Jimmy Graham trade, Philadelphia Eagles. This week we're going to head over to the AFC, and we're going to start with the other end of the LaShawn McCoy trade, the Buffalo Bills, who, of course, received LaShawn McCoy, trade Kiko Alonso to Philadelphia. They've also made a few other moves. Matt Castle coming in, Charles Clay, and Percy Harvin both coming in from division rivals. Start with you, Vince. Some thoughts on Buffalo's activity this offseason?
Well, we knew just going into the offseason, the Bills had a strong defense. That wasn't the issue. They were going to have to address the offensive side of the ball, and that's definitely what they've done so far. The pickups on paper, some of them make more sense than others. The McCoy deal, at least to us, seems like a really good deal. They have a bit of a quarterback issue. Don't know if Kyle Orton's going to come back. Probably not. So picking up Matt Castle, at least to give E.J. Manuel some competition, I like that move. Then we talk about the Charles Clay and Percy Harvin. I'm not really big on that. We talked about before this segment, Charles Clay coming in for big money. I don't know if he's really worth it. And Percy Harvin, phenomenal player, but he just comes with so much baggage and so much, I don't know. That's why he's bounced around. He's been a phenomenal player, but he's not really been able to really stick because he's got these attitude issues. And so I don't know. Maybe being with Rex Ryan is a good fit for him, but I mean, they're addressing the offensive side of the ball, which is what they needed. How the moves pan out, I guess, is remained to be seen.
All right, Matt, I'll move over to you. I guess Vince hit the offensive side. Does losing Kiko Alonso present a big problem for them defensively?
Well, he's a very talented player. I mean, they'll definitely feel the impact of his loss, but he missed all of last season. I mean, he was definitely a question mark moving forward. You don't want to, depend too much on someone who's missed an entire season, especially in the NFL. So, and I really like Rex Ryan as a defensive coach. I think that if anything, you want to give him offensive weapons because that's not really his specialty. He'll get the defense going in a few years. I think they'll definitely be a contender defensively when Rex Ryan gets his hands on that defense. I think what they really have to worry about is their offense, and I think that's what they addressed.
All right, it's a good point. From there, we'll move to Rex Ryan's former team, my team, the New York Jets. Very, very active free agency, especially on the defensive end. Reuniting Darrelle Revis and Antonio Cromartie, bringing in Buster Skrine from Cleveland, Marcus Gilchrist from San Diego, and then on the offensive side, Brandon Marshall making that trade, which I think is a good one. Matt, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on new GM Mike McCannigan over in New Jersey?
I like that he made some big moves. I think the team needed to try to move in a different direction. The Rex Ryan era, I think we all knew that it was over. Just wasn't working out. Players lost faith in him over there. But I think that they're moving in the right direction. They still have a big question mark at the quarterback position. They definitely need to address that, whether it's going to be in the draft or someone else. We don't know. They brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick. They still have Geno Smith. But if they can address that in the near future, they might be a contender in the AFC East looking forward.
Vince, agree, disagree?
Yeah, I feel like they can make all the moves they want, but the biggest question mark with the Jets, and has been with the Jets for a long period of time, is the quarterback position. It's just kind of been a revolving door of guys coming in, guys coming out. Once they solidify the quarterback position, now with the moves from Marshall on offense, and then obviously they've always had a great defense, but Revis and Cromartie definitely doesn't hurt that situation. The other pieces are going to be there. The final piece to the puzzle, as always with the Jets, is the quarterback position.
All right, really quick before we go, one-word answers from each of you. New England still the team to beat in that division, Vince?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You heard it here first. More SportsZone coming your way after this.
And to wrap up another exciting edition of SportsZone, which I know is how you feel, it's how I feel as well. We got thumbs up, thumbs down, our favorite segment, or at least mine. These guys can speak for themselves. What's good and what's not good. We're going to start off as par for the usual. Dylan Cho, what do you got?
So, I'm going to start with thumbs up this week. I got thumbs up first. This was some pretty big news. The WNIT, the West Virginia coach, I don't know, you probably saw this, Ben. West Virginia coach gets his players to foul a Villanova player who was stuck on 999 points.
Huh.
She had 999. Villanova West Virginia coach tells his players to foul her, goes to the free throw line, makes exactly one free throw, misses the other one, enters the 1,000-point club for her career. Great story there. The fact that the coach knew about this and did that, I think that is great right there. Second thumbs up goes to Ronda Rousey, making a guest appearance at WWE, teaming up with The Rock, beating people up, wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt. It's Ronda Rousey. She's amazing, so gotta love her. Thumbs up there. Thumbs up to The Ohio State University. They recently put in a new fire hydrant on campus. This fire hydrant is painted maize and blue for the Michigan football team, or just Michigan in general. The fire hydrant is meant for dogs. It is meant to be where dogs can go to the bathroom. So
Excellent.
the Ohio State University taking the rivalry to another level. Thumbs up to them. I think it's a very funny and creative way to do this, and the Dogs are going to be enjoying a nice Michigan-colored fire hydrant over the next couple of years. Thumbs down this week goes to my friends from back home in our fantasy baseball draft. Usually we do okay. There's usually about 10 of us in the league. 10 of us this year. 4 of us showed up for the draft. All the other teams were auto-drafted, including the first pick overall. So the person who was first ended up just auto-drafting Mike Trout because he wasn't there for the draft. He ended up showing halfway through and found out that he got Mike Trout and was pretty happy. But there's that. But thumbs down to some of my other friends for picking players literally right before I was. Like Pablo Sandoval went right before me. Matt Harvey went 1 pick before I did. All this sort of stuff. So thumbs down to all of them. But that is it for me.
All right, Mr. Salandra, what do you got?
All right, we're gonna start out thumbs up to big Mike Stanbrook of Xavier University.
Yes.
Gotta love this guy.
guy.
Love his story. The Uber driver, the goggles. Love the image.
Yeah.
America got to meet him. Like his first 2 rounds with Xavier played Ole Miss and Georgia State. Not really national exposure. They play Arizona in the Sweet 16. Everybody falls in love with the guy. He's just huffing and puffing up the court. He's like 200 pounds heavier than everybody. He's got some sweet post moves. I know I fell in love with him. I was sad to see him go, so thumbs up to him. Also, thumbs up, European Soccer Championship qualifying this week. Wales and Iceland both are victorious and are sitting first and second in their qualifying groups. They haven't qualified for the European Championships I don't even know. I don't think Wales or Iceland has ever qualified. They both have lots of young talent, and it's kind of exciting to watch them throw off the big dogs as Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, and Italy are all kind of struggling. So it should be fun to watch that. And thumbs down in the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if you guys saw this. The piping in noise in the stadiums, losing a 5th-round draft pick. I'm sure they're really feeling bad, really feeling guilty, losing that 5th-round draft pick. Lots of value there. Just a weird story coming out of the NFL, and that's what I've got for this week.
Excellent. We're going to start with a thumbs down to more bowl games. Yes, there are apparently proposals that we could have a bowl game in Tucson, Arizona, a bowl game in Little Rock. We got a new bowl game starting this year, the Cure Bowl in Orlando, and supposedly somebody threw out an idea for a bowl game in Australia. So all in all, that would bring us to a hearty 42 bowl games.
Oh my God.
I enjoy all the random bowl games. The San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl, the Popeyes Bahamas Bowl was a huge success and a fantastic game. But I mean, do we really need 42 bowl games? I mean, maybe these guys think so, but Flo does not. Thumbs up to Indianapolis, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Among the great commercials, including Shaq dancing, which is fantastic.
Or breaking a table.
Breaking the table is
Cinderella
pretty good
slipper.
too, but yeah, that dancing one was actually great. But you know, there's these commercials with our good friend Jaren's boy Spike Lee, Sam L. Jackson, and the great Charles Barkley for Capital One. They're just basically trolling, and at one point, you know, they're in Charles mistakes Indianapolis for being Indianapolis. Fantastic stuff. Also, thumbs up to another shout out to Jaren, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. 2?
Sports journalism professor Don Marcus. The reason why I'm giving a shout out is that I came up with an idea for, because we have to do a blog assignment. I'm like, I'm going to blog about NASCAR. And he was like, he loved the idea. It's like, you know, I had a former student that did that a couple times. You know Michael Gardner? And I'm like, I do know Michael Gardner. You know, Fanatic Radio, great show. You should check it out. And they're wrapping me up, but, you know, Flo don't care. But yeah, Don Marcus, remembering Michael Gardner, a SportsZone Hall of Famer, if there were such a thing. And there will be at some point. But I'm sure I had other ones, but as usual, I pull these out of my behind. But anyways, for everybody here at SportsZone, guys up here, guys in the back, including Aviva, I should say guys and girls, so I'm not that guy. But for all of us here at SportsZone and ATV, thank you for watching SportsZone. We will see you next time.